Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee Connect. Hope you're enjoying the conversations here these last couple months, and we're wrapping up 2024, going into 2025, and just want to take some time during this time of year. Christmas is coming. Many of us tend to get absorbed into the holidays, and some of us tend to get left out of them, which obviously makes for some serious leadership challenges and challenges of individuals. And so I just want to kind of take the time today to have some conversations, have some discussions, share some experiences of challenges that maybe you've already faced or things that you've come through as an individual during the holiday time that allowed you to push through and make it through to the next year in a successful manner. And so, uh, really just kind of talking about how we can help our teams.
Just keeping people motivated and focused, right? So that we could get to that stand down and hopefully get them out there to recharge their batteries, right? And so hopefully today we're going to not only talk about some personal experiences as far as what Christmas means to us and stuff, but hopefully give some understanding to what it might mean for the people that are around us. And if you're not leading a team, that means your family, your friends, right? Maybe those just you interact with on a weekly basis and stuff. And so we can hopefully better understand what to pay attention to, right? Because this is probably the biggest time of year that depression sets in for some people. And they're definitely thinking about memories and things that of loved ones that maybe aren't here and stuff. And so just hoping to come through some of that. And so opening up the conversation today, one of the biggest things throughout the holidays is movies, right? And we can argue over whether Die Hard's a Christmas movie or not a Christmas movie and stuff, right? I don't want to go there.
It's not.
What I want to do is if we can take some time to share, right? I will tell you at some point in time, these are just some Christmas movies that are out there, and Die Hard could be on that list, Joe. Okay, I'm sorry, but if you could describe your Christmas experiences throughout your life, right, or maybe recently or whatever else, pick a time, or uh, what movie would it relate to, and kind of why, right? And I will tell you, uh, the second to last one there, Four Christmases, right, was my life for a long time in the military, right? When you're away from home, and oh by the way, your wife is from one state and you're from another state, and you're trying to visit all of those relatives, right? As well have your own Christmas throughout the holiday seasons, right? It often became a year where we would have three, four, five, six Christmases all within a week, right? And so that Four Christmases movie is definitely one that I relate to and can uh, think back to. In fact, we committed that when we moved to Cincinnati that we will no longer have Four Christmases because it was a focus of we're going to have Christmas morning at our house and we're going to have Christmas dinner at our house and we're going to start to establish our own uh, uh, routines and own uh, things that our family wants to do, right? Rituals that our family wants to do and stuff like that and stuff. So I'm going to open up the floor and hopefully you guys can relate to one of those movies and just kind of share what your experiences were uh, at some point in your life. Feel free, open it up. Rick, you're unmuted. I'll call on you first.
I'm thinking that's funny because I know my brother does the National Lampoon's Christmas every year. It's part of his family tradition to watch that. We don't really have anything like that per se. When we got married, we were far away from family. We were at that point in time 4 hours away by car. Today it's probably more like 3 hours away by car, but with speed limit changes. But we started establishing our own traditions, and then when we had kids, we continued that. I won't say Four Christmases is quite where we were, but having two little kids and traveling between everyone else's houses made things kind of complicated. So we ended up saying, okay, Christmas Eve is for our family of four, and Christmas Day we'll have everyone over the house to celebrate Christmas for all the local relatives.
Like it. I like it, man. Julie?
I would say that growing up as a kid, it would be much more like a Christmas story because we had very specific traditions in my family growing up. We'd always have a nice dinner on Christmas Eve. We'd go downstairs. Dad would play the piano. We sing every Christmas carol known to man. And then we could go upstairs to go and open up presents. And one year, my brother had German measles, and we had to keep all the lights off because if you had any bright light, he could be blinded. So we have to go in the family room, look at the package, and sometimes we opened up somebody else's present. We have to go in the family room to see what it was that we opened because we couldn't tell. But then we go to midnight mass, come home. Mom would attempt to make schnecken. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. And then the next day, family would come over. But since maybe 2013, it's more like Home Alone in that my parents are all gone. My family all lives in different states. Every single Christmas for like probably the last 20 some plus years, I'm house sitting for my friends. So I'm all by myself with the dogs. But that's okay because I usually try to celebrate Christmas with my family a couple weeks before. So last weekend I was up in Fort Wayne and I already had Christmas. So it's not all bad.
Good deal. Good deal. Rita?
So I have successfully avoided 4 Christmases most of my adult life. I had many Christmases when I lived in Atlanta that I spent in many an airport trying to get home for the holidays. And that influenced my decision to live in the greater Northeastern Ohio area. So I would avoid airport time during the Christmas and holiday season. So I do one Christmas. My life is very simple that way. My favorite Christmas movie is White Christmas with Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye. And I really loved, the music is phenomenal. That particular movie production has a wonderful message that ties back to the military. I would say maybe the most uh, traumatic Christmas was I'm the youngest of four. My oldest brother went to the military at 17. And I think it didn't occur to me because I was only about 12 at the time. It didn't occur to me when he left and went to the military that there were going to be holidays that he was not going to be home for. So it was always the six of us. When I was a kid, obviously I made the family six, right? Because I'm the youngest. It didn't occur to me when he left that like even your day to day, just getting up and going and getting ready for school, it was going to be different. And it he went off, I think he went to the military in late 89 because he graduated from high school in 1989. And from I didn't realize it. It took me a little time to realize, because again, I'm only 12, that at that point, when your oldest sibling leaves, nothing in your family's ever the same. And you know, we're very lucky that, for the most part, I see all of my siblings and the vast majority of my immediate family at the holidays. That hasn't always been the case. At one point, I lived in Atlanta and I did come home for Christmas, but wasn't always home for Easter or Thanksgiving. Um, and, I think for me, I really love, you know, yes, Bing Crosby and yes, White Christmas, but all of those crooners has always made me feel like that connection to that older generation and more of the family traditions. And, I think that particular production has a number of musical songs that really are very touching. Bing Crosby sings a song to Rosemary Clooney called Count Your Blessings. And that's a great song that, yeah, obviously it's in a Christmas movie, but that particular number is very emotional at all time periods and all seasons and holidays. So I pull a lot from that. And it reminds me to have a great deal of gratitude at all seasons of the year.
Good deal. Yeah, absolutely. And so we're going to take one more. We're going to come back to everybody else as we continue to come conversations today. Joe, you're unmuted. Did you want to share?
Um, it might be a little cheesy, but I'd say it's a wonderful life. It's kind of one of those things where there's times where I'm feeling a little down or something, and then I might get an email from somebody or run into them if I'm out at Kroger's or something like that, and when you kind of see people from your past and they come back and they say, "Oh, I remember, when you did X, Y, Z," or "I remember when you did this or that," and it makes you feel good.
Absolutely. Lamar, you got a question or something? You got something to add?
Something just to add, if you expand the period of holiday celebrations, when we lived in Okinawa and I was 9 years old, we got a Christmas tree and we actually put tinsel. Some of you may not remember tinsel, but we put tinsel on the tree, and then we we folded paper and then cut it so we could form snowflakes, and we put those snowflakes on our big window that said Happy Christmas, or excuse me, Merry Christmas. And it took a lot of snowflakes. But we did a lot of family activities, and we always celebrated family together. We didn't travel over the holidays growing up.
I think part of the success as people go through is, right, we have to understand truly what the holiday season means, for us, as well understand what it means for our families, our teams, and those that are around us. The more we can understand what it means for them, the more I think we can respond to helping them accomplish that season or the goals that they're looking for in their life during that time, right? And I will tell you guys, I mean, my number one blessing that I had probably from my 25 years in the Navy is that there was only 2 times that I had to spend Christmas on the ship, and both of them, the ship was in port. We were in Port Norfolk, and so my family was still able to come on the ship and spend the day with me. We were still able to do some things, and probably wasn't my wife's favorite Christmas because we were on the ship and stuff. But we always made allotments, like for anybody who had duty that day, that we'd say, hey, normally our turnover time was like 6 o'clock in the morning. We'd say, hey, we're not going to do turnover on Christmas Day until 10 o'clock. So that gave those people coming in time to do gift exchanges or whatever else they were doing with their families in the morning, right? And then they would come in, and those that were getting off duty could go home and still have the rest of Christmas Day with their family and stuff. So definitely, probably the biggest blessing, like I said, was that I only had 2 times, and both of them I was still able to spend with my family, which was probably the most important thing to me. And so we're going to head to a breakout, guys. And what I want us to kind of explore is, if we really truly want to be successful leaders during this time for our people and those that are around us, right? When I say our people, I mean our family, our friends, as well, our coworkers and stuff, right? What are the primary concerns that leaders should have during this holiday season, right? And how do we balance those concerns with productivity, right? Within our organizations, within our business lives, or just our lives in general, right? Sometimes. So we're going to send everybody to a breakout here, and then we'll come back and share some of those discussions. If you guys want to screenshot that, go for it. And then I'm going to stop sharing here in a second so we can get these breakout rooms opened up, as you guys had me out, because I didn't have any breakout rooms initially. Recreate them here. So I'll open them up. We'll go for 8. We'll go with 8 or 9 minutes, guys, and then we'll jump back in here and continue talking. Thanks. So what are our concerns as leaders, as friends, as mentors and coaches around other people when it comes to the holiday season?
Why do we have to be leaders over the holidays?
We don't have to be. That's why I said friends too.
I know. No, that we took the question in our group. We were in group 3, and we shifted a little bit. And instead of saying, how could we be good leaders? How could we be good examples
Yeah.
to others. As you mentioned, that's not just work, employment, business related, that's family and friends related also. And we talked about showing more grace, because we don't know what anyone's going through. I mean, people that keep it together all year have added stresses over the holidays. And so granting more grace is helpful. Maybe not having so high of expectations for business productivity over this couple of weeks, but giving people a little bit of a break.
Perfect. What else do you guys talk about?
One of the things we talked about in our group is uh, friends who have maybe lost a spouse recently. Um, I know two people who approximately my age. One's a guy I golf with. He's about 10 years older, and another is a lady up the street. She's about 2 years older. That they both lost spouses in November, and just kind of try to keep track of them, because the first of everything after you lose somebody really close to you are really weird. Thanksgivings, Christmases, birthdays, um, wedding anniversaries, things like that.
Yeah, so if we know that, right? If we know the first are always the toughest, right? We do. I mean, most of us have lived through it in some way, shape, or form, right? That the first Christmas after we've lost our parents or a spouse or whatever else it might have been, right? That's the roughest. If we know that, why aren't we being more proactive? Like when Christmas comes, that we try and make it extra special, right? And maybe we pay extra attention to that facet of it for individuals that are out there, right? It's not like employers don't know who took grievance leave, right? Throughout the whole year. They probably have records of that, right? And I know most of us are not employers in a big sense, right? But I think it's still applicable because we all know people who have lost parents and loved ones and things like that throughout the year. So great point, man. I appreciate that, Joe. Anybody else?
Rodney, Alicia shared her ideas in the chat. Maybe she could share them verbally.
Go ahead, Alicia.
No, I was saying in our group that practice of authentic appreciation is part of what I do, and understanding that we all don't receive appreciation in the same manner. We all have a unique way of communicating appreciation, and they are words of affirmation, being able to say kind word, quality time, acts of service, tangible gifts, and physical touch. Now, physical touch in the workplace has certain boundaries, and they are a good a firm handshake, a high five, a fist bump, and a pat on the back. With physical with physical touch, it's good to remember how to respect each other's boundaries. And I mean, people like Bonnie is saying, he's a hugger. Once we understand that that's the way they want to communicate authentic appreciation, we can make amends for how we demonstrate it.
Yeah, I told her, I said, man, I don't know if I'd make it in the workplace, right? Because I'm a hugger, right? I might shake your hand the first time that I'm meeting you and stuff, but eventually you're going to get to a point where I'm just giving you a hug all the time, right? And I said, I just don't think there's enough hugs being given in the world today, right? And so we've got to get to this point where we're comfortable with it. I said, the United States is really weird, right? I mean, how many of you guys have been to Europe at some point? I mean, right. And I said, we had this episode a while back. We brought up nudity. Remember, I forget what we were talking about, what we were doing that day, but I said put naked in front of everything, right? We were trying to talk about something. I can't remember the lesson we were doing that day, but I said put naked. Like Europe, you talk about nudity and it's not an issue, right? But here we talk about it and it's an issue. I think, having love and affection or showing love and affection towards fellow man in the United States almost comes across the same way sometimes, right? And that's a shame, right? I mean, that we feel that way, that, oh, I can't understand why Roddy would give Michael a hug, or why, you know, whatever. Why, I don't understand why they're, you know, they're business people. What are they doing, right? Get over it, right? Get over it,
Well,
right?
Rodney, it's a form of punishment for people. You know, there's been a small percentage of people who have not gone into that hug with the warmth of actual appropriate business relationship. And it's a punishment for everyone as a whole for the efforts of people who have hugged too long or made it a little creepy, or they don't have appropriate human socialization. They don't understand someone being friendly with them versus someone of the opposite sex flirting with them. So again, you have a wonderful marriage and a great life, and sometimes for people who don't have that well-rounded good life, they don't have proper human socialization, and they don't interact with people in a way that's polite and appropriate. And so they're going to take that affection the wrong way, and nobody wants that.
I can understand that as well. I can understand that as well, Rita. Yeah, and I
You,
appreciate sharing it.
yep. Beware the introverts. Yes.
Well, and I say, I don't just go, I mean, I'm going to tell everybody, hey, I'm a hugger, okay? And if you're not comfortable with it, hopefully you are comfortable enough to say to me, I'm not, okay? I appreciate it, but and that's all. I mean, the openness of communication can go a long ways, right? And but that's how I mean, I know that I can trust you. I mean, I read all these things about dogs. Julie watches. I mean, she sits a lot of dogs and stuff. I said, animals are weird how they show their affection and really show how they truly trust as humans and stuff. And I think we as humans, right, we're so standoffish sometimes because we're so guarded over things that may have happened in the past, that fear sets in. But 99% of all fear, right, are things that are never going to come to fruition. Can we agree with that? Right. And so, but I understand where you're coming from, Rita, right? There is that 1% chance that somebody who doesn't know how to act appropriately or whatever else is going to take it the wrong way, and they're going to take it to another level that shouldn't have ever went to, right?
Yeah, I mean, some people just don't learn to read the room, right? I feel like everyone on this call, if I saw them in person, the thing I would say is, oh my, you never know when I'm going to be in Columbus or Cincinnati, Rodney,
I met her
right?
for the first time at the chili cook-off, and guys, and I'm telling you, she did not hesitate to hug me.
I'm a hugger. I too am a hugger. So if I saw any one of you in person, I
Yeah.
would want to have that moment. But I have been in many business situations where somebody didn't read the room, and they don't talk or interact, and it's men and women. I have stories on both sides. And so yeah, I mean, I just like to make, kind of remind people, emotional intelligence, learning to read the room, getting proper socialization, understanding where some of that may or may not be wanted. And some people are not huggers, and
That's why it's important to have boundaries and, share your boundaries. Don't be afraid to communicate. It's important to communicate.
Absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely.
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Rick.
I found it interesting. So many of you know that I have played in cover bands. Not a lot recently, but I've played in cover bands, and I have a business, and I've been an employee. I've done all that good stuff. And it's interesting to find out how you can see signals for whether they're a hugger or not a hugger. You can see it, I won't say from a mile away, but from a foot to 2 feet away. When you see somebody, you can usually see if they start going like this, they're a hugger. Or if they have one arm out like this, I can usually say, okay, they're going to be comfortable with the hug. If they're not doing anything like that, I'm doing this.
They're like this. You ain't hugging nobody, right?
Ain't hugging nobody. But it's interesting how much of that I've learned through being in bands and getting around people between sets. and just talking with people and seeing, you've seen someone now 5 times now, they approach you and they're ready for a hug. Someone might have seen you 30 times and they're coming up with a handshake. But I think, to Rita's point, it really is about reading the room and understanding human nature enough to know what they're going to be comfortable with. Because I agree, you don't want to put them off by being overbearing. You want to fit them into your comfort zone and have you fit into their comfort zone.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, when it comes to all of the things that we kind of should stay focused on, right, is this says employee stress and burnout, right? But it's really everybody's stress and burnout, right? I know my wife comes home often from work, and because I've got flexibility with my schedule and she doesn't, she's definitely on a much higher level of stress than I am throughout the day, right? And so it only, it it only implores me to go, what can I do to make it easier for her, right? And hopefully keep us moving in the right direction instead of getting into some heated argument that isn't even worth it at this point. And it's even more heightened at this time of year, right? Work-life balance. I used to love the fact that my sailors, right, and those that worked underneath of me when I was in engineering, right, listen, you got stuff going on during this time of year that don't normally take place, right? School pageants and all this other stuff. And the last thing I think anybody should have to do is sacrifice not being able to be there for their kids or their families, right? And so you got to be flexible about how we can kind of create that for people sometimes. And unfortunately, I think in corporate America, right, we get so stringent upon, well, this is the shift you're on. This is what you have to do. We can't stray away from that because we got to make our 50 cents or whatever else it might be, right? Maintaining morale and motivation. And I love this, but I hate it because everyone will be like, well, we had the Christmas party, we had the potluck, and that's where it ends, right? It's not a day, it's a season, right? There's a long time that takes place through this holiday festivities that go on. And I understand Christmas is a day and New Year's is a day, right? But the season is the season. And so I think we have to find ways to creatively recognize and keep people motivated throughout the holiday seasons, right? And keep them focused, right? Emotional well-being. It is okay to ask somebody what's going on, right? How are things going, right? Lamar made a mention about when we were in the break. I said, he always asks people, what are your plans for the holiday, right? What does this mean to you? What does the next 2, 3, 4 weeks mean to you as we transit through this holiday season? I had single sailors, they'd be like, it's not that important to me, right? I'm more concerned that I can get my time off in March or April, Master Chief, right? So I can go do X, Y, Z or whatever, right? Oh, okay. Now, sometimes people's face, right, are bluffers, right? They're bluffing. It may not seem like it's important to them, but listen, there's nothing like the depression that sets in from being alone on Christmas Day or something like that sometimes, especially when you're a young person, right? Communication and transparency, being clear about what we're trying to do and accomplish within our organization, as well what we're trying to do for the people that were around at that point in time. So we'll go to a second breakout here real quick and just kind of talk about what strategies maybe you've seen in the past that have worked to help your team's morale and motivation during this time. And then again, we'll come back, share what we can share, guys, and then wrap things up for today. When we come back, there are some other folks that I wanted them to share their movie experience about their life as we wrap things up. So keep that in mind if you haven't been called on so far to come back and share that. Breakout rooms. And I'll see you guys back here. We're gonna awesome team. So what are we doing to help this through, right? What are we doing to strategize and help our teams or people around us through the holidays?
Tacos.
Tacos! Explain that.
Rita, do you want me to explain it or do you want to explain it?
So I told all of them, I used to work at headquarters for Joann Fabrics, which is in Hudson, Ohio. And because that's a obviously nationwide retailer, they require all teams at headquarters to have 50% of staff on Black Friday. And even though I was pretty new there, I still had seniority over junior staff members. And if I chose to take Black Friday off, one of them couldn't. And as you heard, I only have one Christmas. That also means I only do one Thanksgiving. So I don't do 6 Thanksgivings over Thanksgiving weekend. So I learned to work Black Friday, and that earned me a lot of respect and trust from my junior staff members, because that meant that one or two of them could go to Cleveland and Erie and Columbus and Pittsburgh and do their 6 different Thanksgivings. And it actually, the last year I worked there, gave me the opportunity to fix a major problem within my team for a very high level executive meeting. And I was the highest level person over, I think, 2 or 3 teams, which blew me away that I was the most senior person in the room. And I had to step in and fix a massive report prior to them having like a Zoom executive meeting to review all these stores they were doing. And so I got to prove myself as a expert in my field at something I had never done before. And for several years in a row, outside of that, nobody wants to eat Thanksgiving a second time. So I would be an informal leader by organizing a taco bar for everyone that had to work Black Friday. You paid me $15 and I organized, I think it was Moe's Mexican, to come in and put out a taco bar for everybody. And what was cool about it was people who would not talk to each other from teams normally, we all sat down at the table and ate together on Black Friday.
Nice. And who doesn't like
Interesting.
tacos?
Now there's I saw a meme on Facebook this morning. It's Cartman from South Park. And he's sitting there, he says, I'm glad I don't have to hunt my own food because I don't know where I'd have to hunt for tacos and margaritas.
What other strategies, guys? I'll tell you. So as a leader, I mean, I said it, I was blessed that I didn't have many Thanksgivings or Christmases and stuff like that I had to spend on ship. But often I was the one that would, I said, listen, I'll straddle the holidays, because you had people that were like, well, I need an extra couple of days, or I need to leave an extra couple of days early because they were traveling across town or whatever else. And so I often would straddle both the holidays and work through both Christmas and New Year's, where I would take maybe the first couple days off and then come back Christmas Eve, and I would work until New Year's Day, right? I would do duty through New Year's Day or whatever, so that everybody else could do what they needed to do, right? The other thing is I remember early on, before cell phones were a thing. I know that's hard for some of you guys to think about, right? But before cell phones were a thing, right? I had several guys, man, off the ship. They were from California, Wyoming, Texas, right? And we're in Norfolk. They weren't making it home for the holidays, right? I would literally load up 3, 4 guys in my pickup truck, right? And we would drive to Cleveland. My mom would have presents for 3 or 4 strangers, right? As if they were her own sons, right? And so to me, that's what the holidays were, right? How can we give back, and how can we just kind of make this an extra special moment for all of us to enjoy each other and stuff like that? And I think those strategies apply to our employees as well, right? Your employee, when they need to get off early to go to their go to their kids or their grandkids choir concerts or whatever else, right? They're probably going to remember you longer, right, for that small gesture than anything else you could probably do for them.
Well, and
Right.
I think the holidays extend, like you said, it's more than just Christmas Day itself. It's the Christmas concerts. It's those that celebrate holidays other than Christmas. It's, with so many people having families of various different types, sometimes people get together the second Saturday in December to have a sort of informal family reunion, and they got to help out with that. And that might mean them taking off the Friday before to go help a loved one cook or prepare or buy. And so, the holiday season, it basically starts at Halloween and doesn't end until January 2nd. And so thinking outside of yourself or what other people need could look really different for individual people.
So I want to listen to some more stories about movies and stuff, but real quick, I think a lot of the conversations we've talked about today, right, center around these 5 things here, right? To give cheer. Notice how each one of those phrases starts with a letter, right? Create flexibility. Listen to your people, guys, right? Definitely provide empathy for others because we don't know what everyone's going through, right? Eyes on everyone. By far, the holidays are one of the most suicidal moments throughout the world, right? And so, eyes on everyone. If you see somebody not acting right, not, you're gonna know there are signs, right, that something's not going on. Pull them aside, talk to them, right? Let them know that they are valued, right? And always always that last thing, right? Remember the reason for this, right? What are we all celebrating at this point in time? So if anybody wants to share their movie stuff, I'd love to hear that because I think those are important to us. If not, and we're going to record those still, right? If not, I want all you guys to have a good Christmas and New Year. I will see you guys after the holiday. Right now, we don't have a topic announced, right? It is a TBD right now, but 7 January at 10 a.m. We're going to be right back here. We are at 72 new coffee connectors, right, for the year, and we've got 28 more to go before March 31st. So if you got to jump off, I understand that. I'll stick around for however long you guys need me to. The rest of you guys, all remember, I love you. All right.
See you guys.
Thanks,
Yeah,
everyone.
Rodney, I
Happy
would
holidays.
happy holidays to everybody. I would just like to say a lot of good points today, and I think the bottom line is showing respect for others, and just respecting their whatever's important to them in their lives and what they're going through. I would also like to agree with Rita. My favorite movie is White Christmas. I have to say, I just looked at the release date in 1954, my birth year, and I am older than the movie, but I still my favorite movie.
Nice.
And also on a separate note, our first child, our daughter, her birthday is Christmas Eve, so that holds a special date for our family as well.
Wow.
Nice.
Thank you.
So does she get a party or does she only get Christmas gifts?
We've looked at people that have birthdays around Christmas, and a lot of people don't like their birthdays. We made it very clear to our family that Christmas Eve was her day, and we were going to celebrate Christmas on Christmas morning, which my wife and we both had that tradition growing up as kids of doing that. So she loves her Christmas Eve birthday. So we lucked out there.
There you go. There you go.
I was gonna say, Rodney, you didn't have my favorite movie, Christmas movie, Bad Santa.
Only
It'll be good.
Vegas. Only the guy from Vegas would say that.
Hey,
John, thanks, man.
I gotta go, guys. See you later.
Buddy.
Merry Christmas, John.
All right, Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays. See you in a few weeks.
Jeff, what's your movie, man? Before you leave, what's your movie, Jeff?
All right, so always a big fan of the Home Alones, 1 and 2 specifically. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, Elf. Boy, if I had to pick one, I'm just gonna go with Home Alone because I have fond memories of seeing it with my family, actually on New Year's Eve, because that was our tradition, go out to eat, go out to a movie every New Year's Eve. And Home Alone, we saw it on New Year's Eve, so technically after Christmas, but that's okay. Fond memories. I was like 6 years old, and yeah, I'll go with Home Alone. Special place in my heart. Thanks, everyone.
Have a great week, man.
Thanks, you too. Happy holidays.
Yeah.
Nobody from Cleveland mentioned
A Christmas Story.
Yeah.
Right.
Ralphie?
Die
We'll
Hard
shoot your eye out.
movie ever.
Does anybody have a lamp like that? That's what I want to know.
I
Yeah.
just read that there's a Deadpool Christmas special. That might become my favorite.
Yeah, that's coming soon too.
My nieces and nephews in New York, for the past 20 years plus, they would get together at Lake Placid, New York, the nieces and nephews and friends of, and it was a really nice. The first day they would have a chili burn off, and it'd be about 4 or 5 different chilies, and then the next day they'd get into making pizzas, hand make it, and it would be like that, and then some of them, we'd get and play music, they'd sing, play games. So it was all coming together as a big family once a year like that. So it's sort of like it's really moving of the experiences that we have at that time. Walking downtown Lake Placid, which is a very small town, and purchasing things or being part of their Christmas also, So it's kind of getting away from the normal and and being amongst family and doing things.
Who can tell me what you know about
Sliding down the hills with the sleds and stuff like that. And they're very active people too. Getting on the ping pong table down there. They also have a spa there with a hot tub, so it was all available. The kitchen and the utensils, and so it was nice. It's always memorable for the whole year.
Rodney, I'm jumping ahead to 2025. A possible topic for the very first meeting on January 7th might, if people are comfortable, is bringing a business issue they're facing, not to be solved, but so we can identify some issues or topics for 2025.
I have one. How do you deal with the slackers that took off during Christmas?
But seriously, it might just be bring an issue that for job seekers, it might be have been ghosting. For others, it might be maybe they fell and had an accident. But it just seems to me that helping people pick up and start the new year.
Absolutely. I got it noted here, man. Well, that might be something we can talk about for sure.